Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Farlands or Bust, episode 711. Episode 711 of the series. Let's grab Wolfie, get rid of some random stuff. Do we need to put it down a marker? Is that something we actually have done in the past? Because it's kind of a special episode. Not really. After 700 episodes, it's really hard to find which ones are needed to be celebrated. Because for those of you who don't know, we started walking. We didn't start the series. Obviously, we started the series on episode 1. We started walking to the far lands after 10 episodes of a normal vanilla Minecraft Let's Play on episode 11. So technically, it is this episode that we've been walking to the far lands for 700 episodes. But does it really matter? I guess so, because I'm making the sign. What is today? Today is October 16th, 2018. 2018. And yeah, we're currently at sure, let's call it $18,838.81 for direct relief. I before E except after C. He's done it. There it is, episode 711. So we've deemed it. It has been thusly claimed and ordained as such, and we can now continue west to those far lands, as we've been doing for 700 episodes. And some episodes are longer than others. And of course, there's also the live stream flobathons, so it's really hard to put it into precise terms, but there we go. There we've done it. We are continuing on, as I literally just said. So yeah, like I just put on the sign, $18,838.81 to Direct Relief Charity at farlandsorbust.com. Keep donating. When you donate, you can ask a question. And I will use that for a topic in a future episode of Farlands or Bust. I got a lineup of questions here, for instance, that we'll be getting to. Somebody in the comments section, despite all recommendations to the contrary, I still do browse the comments section here on the YouTubes of the Farlands Bust episodes. Somebody recommended that I explain what direct relief is again, because yes, it doesn't quite have the catchy one-line synopsis that, say, Child's Play Charity had. Books, games, toys to kids and children's hospitals around the world. But direct relief is big. They do a lot of things. Primarily healthcare related items to places around the world that need them, regardless of where they're at, what economy situation they're in, and even so, what, natural or otherwise disaster sort of peril they may be in. That is what direct relief does. It comes from the direct relief. They directly handle the whole, it's one thing to say, oh, we're donating and there's a charity that gets immunizations or whatever, but there's all these logistics that go into it. So I think what kind of sets direct relief apart is that they take care of the whole package. And I think it can be definitely split up into two types of direct relief. That is the emergency response, so like the hurricane that just hit the Florida coast, but also things like the tsunami and earthquakes that happened in Southeast Asia recently. even to the point of, say, during the California and northwest forest fires, something as fundamental as distributing and providing respirators to people, to both emergency workers and individuals who need them. So, yeah, they support the health needs of those situations, as well as communities in need, providing, basic everyday healthcare like immunizations, disease prevention. A big part of what they do is newborn and pregnancy support in countries and communities where perhaps that is not fundamentally available to them. So that is what direct relief does. It is it's a spicy meatball. I think it's the seventh, one of the seventh. It's in the top 10 as far as funding is concerned. Charities in the United States, in the world. You can kind of compare it, I suppose you can compare it to like Red Cross, but you might not have heard of direct relief because they don't quite put their budget towards like advertising and public knowledge. They kind of that's one of the cool things, is a very significant portion of every dollar donated goes to the actual cause. So that's what we're doing. That's why we're supporting direct relief. And you can do so farlandsorbust.com. We're using the Tiltify program interface to track our donations. Indeed. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Look at all this gravel. I almost called it clay, but that would have been an incorrect assessment of the situation. Oh, the first one I did. I was hoping this whole thing was going to collapse and it would be a dramatic event for episode 711. But no drama here. No drama here, indeed. Indeed. Speaking of drama, I don't know. Yeah, not much is new for old Kurt J. Mac. I suppose if you've been tuning into my live streams, I've been live streaming a lot more. Do you know that? You're probably up with all the happenstances. Juno's doing fine. The Corolla is fine. This is fine. I discovered that I do indeed, and I have ordered a new fuel pump this whole time. When Cone was here, and I also noticed myself, when you park it in the garage, it sure does have a pretty strong fuel-y scent, and I've always just attributed that to being a carburetor situation. You know, the carburetors are weird magic that turns gas into science and makes the car go. But turns out the fuel pump is leaking very slightly, like it's not noticeable. So I've decided to order a new fuel pump, and it's one of those things. Yeah, I've actually been driving it around quite a bit with this problem, but now that I know that it's actually doing that, it feels a little bit haphazard to continue driving with that knowledge in mind. It still runs, starts and runs and everything. There's just a very slight drippage coming from the fuel pump itself. So I've ordered a new old fuel pump and some other associated garbage, which is kind of stinks because this entire week, surprisingly, I've mentioned Seattle area has been deep to the fall, cloudy, rainy weather. But this whole week is going to be sunny in 60s. Would have been a great time to take the old car out for a couple drives, but probably shouldn't do that. Probably shouldn't do that when flammable liquids are... Actually, gas is not flammable in liquid form. In vapor form, it is. It vapes. But yeah, so working on that. That's a little bit disappointing. But what you gonna do? We're gonna get this thing into tip-top shape, right? With 40-year-old cars, you fix one problem and it's smooth sailing from there, right? No more problems ever crop up, right? Right. Murder! Whoop. There we go. That worked that time. So yeah, looking forward to getting that fixed and running and whatever. I'm learning a lot. I learned how to change a carburetor, which was terrifying, to say the least. Installing tachometers, changing out valve cover seals, and now fuel pumps. We're gonna be a skilled yet poor mechanic by the time this is through. Classic car maintenance. Let's go to sleep and continue in the morning. And awakeness. And I need some boatsness. Indeed. I'm trying to think. Looking past 700 episodes, if there's like any sort of magic moment or anything that I can like look back on. There's been plenty. That's probably a question I should ask you guys. Like, what are your favorite episodes, or what are your favorite moments in the past 700 episodes of Walking to the Farlands? Nostalgia. But yeah, I'm really failing to think of any. I'm always looking forward, ahead, twirling towards freedom and the Farlands. So when I'm at a lack of topics, we turn to the questions. Like this one from Stormborn. What was the most disappointing movie you've ever seen? As in, not just bad, but one you had high hopes for, and it broke your heart. Oh, that's tough. That is kind of tough. I'm not sure I have an answer for that. I tend to read the room, that is to say, reviews and like general consensus on a movie before going to see it. Probably the first Tomb Raider movie. The first one was, looking back at it, was okay. But I probably wanted better of that. Second movie was absolute junk. But I wasn't expecting much from it because the first one was very disappointing. I was really excited for what was it? I think it was called Mission to Mars with Tim Robbins. Is that right? Is that his name? Mission to Mars. It was like one of the first, like, this is going to be an accurate representation of what it's like to get crewed spaceflight to Mars. And then it turned weird and bad. Mission to Mars was pretty disappointed. I remember seeing that in the theater. Yeah, it had like Tim Robbins and Gary Sinise and other people. The second and third Matrix movies were a letdown. Those were let down, weren't they? But yeah, in the end, I don't put much, I guess, personal stock into media in the movies I see. Like, it's not, you know, I'm not like these people who are absolutely devastated that Telltale Games shut down and everybody got fired, that the Walking Dead series will never continue on. Oh, it's the end of the world. Like, I get that you can be invested and enjoy stories and characters, but it's just video games. It's just movies, you know. It's not. Yeah, you know, you know what I'm saying. So okay, I spent $12 to go see this movie, and it turned out to be not great at all. Oh well, that's sure. Couple hours of my life I'll never get back. But was I really gonna do anything else? Like, was I gonna cure cancer with that 2 hours of my life? No. So, not that. Now that just makes me sound like an idiot saying that there's no other worthy activity other than trying to cure cancer. You know what I'm saying. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't think. Like, those were just like, oh, that was disappointing, and then you move on with your life. Or you get to make fun of it with your friends, and then move on with your life. So yeah, I can't think of any other very significant ones. I still like Interstellar, but more for the visuals and the atmosphere. I was pretty disappointed in the story. Then, like the plot, I suppose I should say. But I still enjoy it as a theatrical audiovisual experience, if you just look at it that way and you don't take the plot to too much task. You'll enjoy that, I suppose. But yeah, thank you very much for that donation and question. Mach 1 asks, on the whole, like golf? No, on the whole, do you prefer playing racing games with a wheel and pedals or a controller? I don't think I can lump racing games into one category like that. There are definitely certain racing games that I enjoy much better with a racing wheel, and then there are certain video games that are very bad on the racing wheel, but I still enjoy them if I play with the controller. Case in point, Wreckfest for breakfast. Wreckfest. It's entertaining and difficult with a steering wheel, and it works with a steering wheel. I should have guessed that would happen because I took damage. Hey, Wolfie. Bloink. But it's much better with controller, and I'm sure the same goes for Forza Horizon games. Forza, the actual Forza Motorsport games, kind of try to make it seem like they'd be better with the steering wheel, but no, those are still arcade console racers. Controller is the best way to play those. And that's that. That is the story on that, and there is no discussion. As opposed to, obviously, a set, of course, much better and more fun realism, if you're going for realism with the racing wheel. I think Formula 1 is one of those on the fence situations. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Formula 1 for me is much better with a racing wheel, because I remember at the last Mindcrack Marathon, myself and Cone used a controller during that segment, and it was the first time we played Formula 1 with a controller, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult and frustrating to try to do so with any sort of finesse. But then again, there are folks like Beef and a bunch of other people who that's how they play Formula 1. Dirt Rally, much better. Once they fixed the force feedback, much better with a racing wheel. Dirt 4, controller. So yeah, it's hard to put all of racing games. Because if I say, oh, only controller, there's going to be a bunch of actually very great games that I would not be able to enjoy without a racing wheel. If I say only racing wheel, there's going to be a lot of really fun games, you know, Wreckfest, arcade racing games, whatever, that I can't enjoy because they're better with a controller, you know? So I think that is the very long way to answer that question. Mock. Surprisingly, I find games like American Truck Simulator a lot. You can get a lot more mileage out of the fun using a wheel and pedal setup, just because it adds to the realism. That game's all about realism. I feel like I'd have gotten a lot bored of it much sooner if I was just using a controller, because then it's just like, why? I'm just using a controller to go in straight lines. Similarly, I think I said this about Spin Tires, aka Mudrunner. It's probably a better game with a controller, but it's more enjoyable with a wheel. Like, it's more of an experience. It's more engrossing. It's more immersion. You get immersed in the mud with a wheel and pedal setup. It would be perfect for that if it had an accurate cockpit view, cabin, first-person view. It would be a lot more on the sim side. But because it is like third person and it requires a bunch of all this other grappling and crane work and stuff, you can't solely get away with just using the steering wheel. But I remember playing it for a little bit on stream or something with a wheel, and I'm like, this is kind of fun, actually. So yeah, there's a wide swath spectrum, if you will, of both racing and driving games. Just like there's some flight games, whoops, what am I doing? That are good enough with a controller, but then there's like the flight sims that you need a stick and a throttle and, you know, all that other stuff. Speaking of sticks, let's go to sleep and continue in the morning. And a stickness. Ooh, wah, ah, ah, ah. Are you down with the stickness, Wolfie? Sorry, I apologize. Room Viking asks, would you rather be the best player on a terrible team or the worst player on a great team? What's a team? In what context is this team? Like your company's marketing team? A volleyball team? A team of this joke has run its course. I think we're done here. Yeah, I don't sports. I don't like team sports particularly. Being involved in them, doing the team sports, probably has something to do with my overwhelming social anxiety and introversion. But yeah, I've never much cared for team sports. Also, probably thanks in most part to grade school gym class, where it's pretty much thrust upon you, regardless of your interests and desire for such things, much like group projects and whatnot. Just end up making you feel bad and hurting your self-esteem. Listen, gym class is fine. Just not all the time. just not for your physical health. Yes, for your psychiatric health. Heck no. Yeah, no, that's a tough one to answer because I don't sports. I video games. Emily asks, do you have a plan to vote on November 6th? Are you voting early or on the actual day, or do you mail in the ballot? Well, I sure hope everybody here has a plan to vote. In the United States, clearly, has a plan to vote for November 6th. In the state of Washington State, it's all mail-in voting. Everybody who's registered gets sent a ballot to their mailing address. If you don't have a mailing address, or if you haven't registered by October 4th, which you clearly, if you haven't, you can go and register in person up until the 29th, as well as every county's election board has to be open during the election period so that you can vote in person if you lose, misplaced, didn't get your mail-in ballot. Information is power. But yeah, I'll mail-in vote. I really like the mail-in voting, because it like gives me time to actually research everybody. And then I'm like disappointed that I can't find enough information about some random, water district position somebody's running for, because it's like it's not even a big position or a partisan position. But yeah, that's really helpful, and I think a lot of other states would benefit from that. Not that clearly some people in power want to make it easier to vote, but that would be a good benefit. It does concern me sometimes. It's like, yeah, mail-in voting is fantastic, but what if you don't get your ballot? What if you don't have an address? There's a big problem in another state. I can't remember which one, but they're making it so that a person has to have an actual street address and not a P.O. box. But people who live on reservations, Native American reservations, typically don't get served by the U.S. Post Office, so they don't have a home mailing address. So the reasoning behind that rule being put into place is to prevent and suppress those votes. So yeah, there's no perfect system, except for a system that does the most things to remove as many barriers as possible. But yes, that's my plan. I am waiting by my mailbox for my ballot, and I will fill it out and drop it off at a ballot drop box. It used to be that if you wanted to put it in a mailbox, you had to put a stamp on it, but I think now that's postage is included, at least for where I was located. I don't know if that was for the rest of the state as well, or mailbox, but I have a actual ballot box nearby at a library. So yeah, vote. Man, is everybody else, speaking of voting, is everybody else just in a constant state of anxiety for the past 2 years? Is that just me? Or like this feeling that something has to be done, but then seeing how nothing is being done, and then being like, oh, can I do something? And then realizing you can, but you're too weak to, or like you're not powerful enough, and then getting super anxious about the near future. It's good times. These are fantastic times to be absolutely worn down to the nub of your emotional and societal stability. It's great. It's good times. So vote. It might be your last chance to. It's not too far from possibility. So, wolves. Hello, wolves. Having a wee dip, a little bath. See? So is Wolfie. Neat. Nature, wildlife. So yes, have a plan. There have been a few times, few people, few friends, family, whatever, who were like, yeah, I'm gonna vote, and then like something comes up and they're not able to vote or whatever. So make sure you have a plan. I think that's kind of the latest thing I've been saying is like have like a specific plan. There are some very fine, good companies. I think Patagonia is the latest one who's like making that a day off for everybody, which is one of those barriers is that we should hold voting on weekends or make it a national holiday, regardless of how many times you say, oh, it's illegal for a company to prevent a worker from voting. That makes it very hard on hourly workers still to need to take a day away from, you know, their potential income for the day on their strict budget to place a vote. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. You all are on the same page as me. I'm pretty sure we've blocked or got rid of everybody who isn't. Oh, fun times. Wolfie knows. Wolfie is my my moderator here on the channel, don't you know? I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's see here. Cody's Lab. I don't know. I know another slab out there. This Cody. I'm wondering... Oh, what? I'm looking to go after a world record of my own. Do you have any tips? Can you talk a little bit more about the process you went through? So 700 episodes ago, I decided to start walking to the far lands. 2 or 3 years into it, I got an email from the Guinness Book of World Records, who were going to publish a gaming edition, and asked if I would like to be included for the longest journey to Minecraft. I said yes. I gave them a number, and that was that. There's really not a process. There's really not a process. And it was not something, I didn't contact them. I didn't go for it. I never started calling it a Guinness World Record until they gave it to me. They never asked for any screenshots or proof. I tell them that the entire journey is documented here in YouTube video form on my channel here. So if somebody wants to go through and watch the last 711 episodes, who knows how many hundreds of hours of content that is, to make sure everything's on the up and up, you can go ahead and do that. But I suppose if your goal is to get a Guinness World Record, find a record that doesn't exist that you think you can achieve, and then do it. I know that there are surely, if there already is a record that exists and you want to beat it, I think then that's when the Guinness World Record folk bring out the judges and the officials. And, you know, that's where, you know, the person's longest fingernails and, you know, all these other, whatever it's got to be, that's when it becomes a bit more, I suppose, quote-unquote, official. Just remember, the Guinness World Records people are not like an actual government or international governing body. They're book publishers. They just want to sell their books about world records. So when you look at it that way, that's what it is. And good luck, I suppose. But yeah, I guess it's also, I think it's got to be somewhat interesting and unique. They're not gonna, it's not gonna sell any books to publish somebody who's done something trivial or boring. Oh, hello. This is mostly unexpected. Is it safe? I'm gonna go with maybe. Yeah, let's fill in the end of the episode hidey hole here. Let's try to make it. We got a in-suite jacuzzi. Got to be wary of leaks and mold. I don't know if I trust it. I'm slightly worried about something being able to spawn over here. All right, this has been a waste of torches. Let's make us some beds. Sorry, I hope that answered your question. I despite having a Guinness World Records, don't have much knowledge of the means or process or hints and tips and tricks to do so. But the best of luck to you. I hope they actually give you a certificate, because they never did to me. Or a copy of the book. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool to be a Guinness World Record. I myself am a Guinness World Records. But also, it's not like my real name being published. And also, that's all you get. that's all you get from being published. It's nice to have people show up here that are like, oh, I saw you on the Guinness World Records. So yeah, that's good. There's a little bit of publicity involved, but otherwise, maybe mitigate your expectations of how it goes. Boy, this sure was a fantastically positive mark to end episode 711 on, right? Thank you, everybody, for donating to Direct Relief and for your continued support of the series. Here's to another 700 episodes, because that's at least what it's going to take to get halfway there. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. That is the story on that, and there is no discussion